Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So in the last class, we saw that ahara, the food that we eat, is not just something which is small, because we do it 3 times a day. Okay? So the general choices are based on either habit or at the most health. Now for sattvic, different criteria are added. Okay? What is the first thing? Ahimsa. Okay? Ahimsa, we have to understand that here absolute ahimsa is impossible. Okay? It's relative. Okay? So there is difference between the himsa that you cause when you pluck, let's say, an eggplant from a tree, then when an animal goes to a slaughterhouse. There is a difference. Right? So that is just minimizing the himsa. It is not about one is complete himsa and the other one is complete non-himsa. Okay? The other is, if the ecological considerations. And the third is really understanding that the world that we live in is a sum total of all the actions that we are all producing constantly at all times. Okay? It's not just somebody else, it is you who's also contributing to making the world what it is. So you have to do your part. Okay? So that interconnectedness, when you understand that, the choices that you make with reference to your food is probably, hopefully, is going to be different. Okay? So this is what the ahara is. The next one we saw was yajna. Now yajna is, as I said, is a physical expression of what you understand here. Okay? What you understand here, if you understand the fact that you depend upon many, many different forces. Okay? In today's Tai Chi class, Surya was actually enumerating different forces, that are all at play right now. Okay? And they are contributing to your presence here. Okay? So therefore, physically, it's not just, one thing is mentally, okay, that's true. The second thing is either verbalizing it, okay, or physicalizing it in terms of showing respect. Okay? That physicalization in terms of action, translating your intentions and understanding into action is something which is extremely important part of living. Okay? Just as I said, empathy is a feeling, emotion. Translating that empathy into action is called compassion. Okay? You have love here, but expression of that love is something which then makes it meaningful. Okay? Now, I want to show you, and that way, yajna is a physical expression of what you understand. Okay? So whether you do it or not, you have to understand its importance. It plays a very important part. Okay? Now, let's take this thing of love. Okay? We need to refine it further. Okay? The love that you feel here not only it has to be expressed, but it has to be expressed appropriately. Okay, that is very, very important. Okay, give an example. Very often, the love that you feel for another person comes out as control. Okay, so that means you are doing out of the love of a child. We saw the example of this boy who was getting angry, right? And the reason why he was getting angry is because he was forced to do something that he did not want to do in his teen years. Okay, so therefore, what is important is that was it done by the parents to harm the child deliberately? Not at all. Okay, but it had harmful effect. Okay, why did it have a harmful effect?
Because they didn't fully discuss it with him on why they were helping him make that choice in life.
Exactly, right? So that means there was a sense of control. Okay,
yeah.
There is this thing that happens. Love very often is expressed, but not expressed appropriately. Okay, and so I'll give you another example, which is something which is, and that's very common. You know, this controlled expression of love. Okay, so when I was in Chennai for a couple of years, we lived in Chennai, and we used to help our teacher in his activity of helping the tribal children in their education. Right. So in this office, I had a person who was helping, and she was helping us with marketing. You know, marketing, because she had worked with a big advertising firm. You know, so she was maybe in her late 20s or what. Okay, and what was interesting is she was under tremendous pressure from her parents, okay, to get married. So that means that she herself, okay, she was very well educated, very intelligent. She had worked in multinationals. It's not that she is some village uneducated girl or anything like that. Okay, and the parents were, out of their tremendous love and care and concern for that woman, okay, were putting her under tremendous pressure to get married. So this woman was just, you know, we were friends. So she was sharing with me. She says, you know what, I myself want to get married. It's not that I don't want to get married, okay, but this pressure on part of my parents is not helping, because until I find the right person to share my life with, I can't just hurry up, right? How do you hurry up? What do you do, right? So therefore, she was under tremendous stress, okay, which was created by her parents, who loved her tremendously, okay, who loved her very much, okay, but it was all manifesting not in terms of helping her, but in terms of controlling and almost giving her a deadline that, okay, by next year you will be 30. So 30 means, oh my God, you know, that if you are not married. So therefore, you absolutely have to get married. Okay? And that is rampant. This is just one thing, you know, in so many different ways you show, it is that love is what? It is expressed, but it is distorted. Distorted because, you know, why? Because it manifests in a controlling manner which instead of helping the other person, it harms the other person. Okay? So therefore, not only you need to learn to express your emotions in form of actions, but you need to learn to express it appropriately. Okay? Because otherwise it becomes either rajasic or tamasic. Okay? So similarly, the yajna that you perform to express your connectedness, okay, itself again, which is a very good thing, either can be sattvic, rajasic or tamasic, depending upon different factors. Okay? So what are those factors? We will see in the verses. the 11th verse. Apalakamchibhiryajnaha vidhi drashto ya ijyate yashtavyameveti manaha samadhaya sa satvikaha, which is the yajna which is sattvic. Okay? He says apalakamchibhir yajnaha. Okay? So that means vidhi drashtoho yaha ijyate. Aphalakangshibihi means it is something which is part of, it is born of my understanding of things. It's an expression of my understanding of things, and then I do it spontaneously. Okay? It's not that I want something out of it. Okay? I do it because I see the value. I already see the universe working for me. Okay? So it's not that, okay, you give me one more thing. Right? Already many forces are already working, okay, for me to be who I am. Okay? So it's born based on my understanding, and not that I want one more thing. Now, hey forces, I propitiate you because I want one more thing.
No.
Okay? It is just simple gratitude. Okay? Even if you want things, it's okay. There is nothing wrong. Right? Don't have a complex. Okay? Because if the forces are working and you are subject to the forces, you can even ask. There is no problem. Okay? But at the same time, the quality is slightly different. Okay? One is simply gratitude and acknowledging what you're already receiving. Okay? And the other thing is coming out of certain lack, where you say, okay, all this is there, I take it for granted, and I also want something more. Right? So this is what we call aphalakangshibihi yajna. Okay? The other, he says, vidhi drashtaha. Okay? Vidhi drashtaha means if you choose to follow or choose that form of yajna, then you have to follow a certain prescription. Okay? You may not do it at all, but if you choose to do it, you can't just skip here and skip there and things like that. Okay? Because there is a certain beauty in the whole method, and there is a certain logic behind what you do and the steps that are involved. As Surya said, the priest who is performing that yajna, how many things he has to hold in mind. We think he is just coming and chanting whatever. He has to hold many different things in mind in order to perform a yajna properly. Okay? And this is why he said that when they go abroad, they become very good computer scientists or IT professionals, because they develop a logical mind, not through just going to university or school by doing 2 + 2 = 4, the traditional method, but this is a different method. Okay? So that means if you perform a yajna, there is a certain prescription. Okay? And that has to be followed. Same thing, Vedic chanting. Okay? You can't say that I want to do Vedic chanting, but I don't want to respect the swaras. That is, you can't say you want to perform or you want to sing classical music, but I don't want to follow ragas.
No.
The raga, otherwise you go out of that. You say I'm singing another method. You can't say I'm giving a concert of Bhairavi, and within that or classical music, within that there are certain rules. And even within the rules, improvisations are possible. Okay? But those improvisations only have to follow a certain range. It can't go the other way.
Otherwise, even the listener doesn't like it.
Exactly. That is, you create disharmony. And that is immediately picked up. You make some person who has trained ears, right? And make him or her listen to music. Any discord, immediately they pick up. Okay? Dance, classical dance forms. Okay? You can't say, I'm performing whatever, Kathakali, Bharatnatyam, and then I do whatever. No. You do something else, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Okay? But you can't say, I'm doing this, and then use your own free will and not follow a certain norms. And improvisations within those norms are allowed in those forms. Okay? That is the creativity of an artist. That is allowed. This is why a very good artist, when he, let's say somebody very, very renowned, they will sing Bhairavi, okay, or Yaman. They will never sing it exactly the same, okay, but they are not going out of that range, metrics that is given. So that means there is room for creativity, and at the same time you need to have a very, very good understanding of the raga, the working of raga, to use that improvisation and at the same time follow the rules. That is trained mind, creative mind. Okay? So when you choose to do something, don't distort it to your liking, you follow that, because there is certain beauty in that. Okay? So same way, you cannot say, I'm performing yajna, but I'm doing something else. Give it another name. Nobody is saying that everybody has to, as I said, in karma you have a choice. You can express it differently. You don't do this and distort it. Okay? And this is why when you start distorting it, over a period of time it loses its meaning. That's when then the result comes where you do things and you don't quite know what you're doing. Okay? So therefore, if you want to do a given thing, you have to learn it properly, okay? And then you have to express it properly. So this is why he says, any yajna which is done by vidhi-hinam, okay, then and if it is following that vidhi, that sophisticated infrastructure that is given, if you follow that, then it is satvikaha. And then yashtavyam eva eti manaha samadhayaha. Okay, it has to be done by me. Okay, why it has to be done by me? Okay, so there is this one thing that we have to understand, that there are two ways of, if I'm interconnected, okay, with the universe, there are two ways in which I can look at the way I participate in this world. Okay, either it can be right based or it can be duty based. Okay, right means it's my right, but I was such a foolish woman, I went ahead and I married him, and look at this, what's the big deal? 10 rubles here and there, but see how he's humiliating me. Okay, and then that is something which is going on between the two individuals in the shop. Then after really scolding and abusing the wife, now the man still has to look for some solution. Okay, what is he going to do with this forged coupon? He has to somehow get rid of it. Okay, so he comes up with an idea. He says, I'll go a little bit far from the city, okay, to a kind of a little bit smaller town where people are not so savvy. Okay, and then I will buy some wood, because in Russia it's very cold. Okay, I'll buy some wood to heat the house, and then I'll give this 12 ruble coupon to this peasant. Okay, and then I will get rid of the coupon and I'll get my wood. Okay, so he goes to this little town, and there is this peasant who's working very hard, always wanting some money and always hoping that somebody will come and buy a bulk. So he goes and he buys, and the peasant is so happy that now somebody has bought so much wood from him. Okay, so this man walks away very happy, got rid of the forged coupon, gave it to the peasant. Okay, and plus having all the wood, right, to heat the house. Now the peasant is very happy. He has made lot of money. Okay, at night he goes to a local bar to celebrate and have some vodka. Okay, now the peasant buys a glass of vodka and pays it. What? With this coupon. He doesn't know it, right? Now the bartender is more savvy. He immediately finds out and he calls the police. Okay. and then the peasant has to go to jail. His wife is crying away. This what happened. My husband is such a hard-working guy, okay, and he's just living. We are living day to day, and now he has to go to jail for something that he has not even done anything wrong. Okay, and the story goes on. What do you understand from this story?
One wrong action is...
Can you say it was totally wrong? Whose wrong action?
Yeah.
Fathers.
Exactly, fathers. Was it totally wrong? Not really,
No.
right? It was not like he was, it was living by principles, rigidity, rules. Rules become that the very foundation. There is no, the person loses capacity to interpret the rules, to discern little bit more, see the situations in their totality, and then make appropriate decisions. Okay? How many times, okay, the parents perform their job of being a parent, not only controlling, rule-based, not being sensitive to the need of that situation, and what is the effect? The effect is who? Is only the child? How many people are affected? How many people?
The child, the wife, the peasant's wife.
Exactly. Duty-based. Duty-based means every situation calls for my response. If I don't perform my duty at that given point in time with a certain awareness, with certain perspective, which is a holistic perspective, how many people am I harming? Okay? Very, very evolved way of looking at duty-based is an amazing way of looking at and participating in the universe.
Yeah, because even the police could have said, looked at the man and said, this man doesn't seem to have the savvy to be able to do the, forge the coupon. Let's ask him, where did he get it?
Exactly. So that
They were also duty-based.
okay. So
Oh,
yeah.
go on.
No, go ahead.
So, what did you say? Duty-based. But you opposed it by rule-based. Is that the opposition? Or
The opposition is the
rights-based versus...
right-based versus duty-based. Okay, but the duty when it is performed, which is only rule-based. When I perform my duties,
Oh, in a
right,
rule-based fashion.
it's just rule-based fashion.
Okay.
Okay, then I'm not seeing the situations in totality.
Yeah.
Okay, so therefore what happens is that when I have to perform duty, what happens? I make some rules and I just work within those rules. So because that it makes it easy, right? I don't have to be thinking and engaging too much. Okay, so one is right-based versus duty-based, and within my duty, if I perform my duty which is rule-based, okay, I miss the point. Okay. So that means even performing duty requires a lot, and understanding what is your duty at that given point in time. It's not simplistic. It's not rule-based. It requires your discretion, discernment. Your capacity to assess situations appropriately and acting according to what is needed to be done. Okay? So duty-based society doesn't make it automatically more functional, right? Within that, who is performing duty and how that person understands one's duty is something which is very critical. Okay? And life is dynamic. There is no such thing that every situation requires exactly the same response. There is no such thing. That's why it is not rule-based. we are so taught to think in terms of black and white and rules. And we become slaves to that. And the kind of harm we do to ourselves and to others as a result.
Yeah, even in medicine, they make checklists for people to follow, and people still, like doctors still need to think outside the box, and the people who only do the checklist, they'll miss certain signs and symptoms that will take you outside of that checklist and the patient.
That's what we are actually talking about. I mean, just because there are two doctors in house and that's what we are saying is, what are we teaching? Because there's a action plan and there's all sorts of checklists and all that. Literally, there's no thinking left. There is absolutely no thinking. You have to, it's care plan or something like that. You have to tick according to that, which is really scary because you're really not thinking outside the box.
So there is some function where it gives you a certain system
Yeah,
within which
you need to do.
But then what happens is that it totally
Blocks
kind
it.
of blocks your creativity and your capacity to see a bigger picture and make that decision. Okay, and this is why it is very important to kind of be systematic and take into consideration different factors and also use your creativity to assess each situation freshly. Okay, so this is what we call yashtavyam eva eti. So that means things that I do are things which are to be done by me. Okay? The whole duty based, and then equipping myself that I can perform those duties, understanding situations appropriately. That is what we call sattvic yajna. Okay. What is the yajna which is rajasic? It says, abhisandhayatu phalam dampathamiti chaiva yata ijyate bharata shrestha tam yajnam vidhi rajasam. So here it says a yajna which is done, what? Abhisandhayatu phalam. Okay, so that means that not only something I do which is to be done by me, okay, but I want something out of it. Okay, so therefore we are not saying it's wrong. Okay, it makes it into rajasic because you are also interested in your own interest. You are promoting your self-interest, and promoting self-interest, don't think it's bad or anything. Okay, many times we want to help ourselves, right? So therefore, any time we use the forces, okay, or even in the world to help ourselves to progress, there is nothing wrong. But the focus is what? Not the universe, but it's you. That's why it makes it into rajasic. Okay. So that also you should now say, every action of mine should only be to enhance the well-being of the universe. There is no such rule. Okay. You also want to be nourished. You also want to be, and at times it's very important to pay attention to your own needs. Okay. So we are not talking about just totally ignoring your own needs. Okay. But here it is abhisandhayatu phalam dambhartham. Okay. It is done for a show. Okay. Look at this. I am the one who is performing this huge yajna. Okay. So there it is meant for what? Impressing others. Okay. To have a certain name in the society, to have a certain fame in the society. Okay. When the action is the same, the intention has made it into what? Rajasic. Absolutely. Okay. Dambhartham iti chaiva yata ijyate bharata shreshtham tam yajnam vidhi rajasam. Okay. So therefore, one thing is that if yajna you convert into your participation in the universe, okay, then what is this? From duty, yashtavyam into phala abhisandhaya.
Phala.
Right based.
Right.
Right? From duty based to Right based. That means the focus is who?
Self.
Me. Right? So that means this has to happen to me, that has to happen to me. People should be like this, the society should be like this, the government should be like that. We have agenda for everyone, how they should be, so that all my needs are satisfied. Okay?
Where in the Sanskrit is
Yeah, it says-
rights based?
Sorry, it is
Right.
abhisandhayatu phalam. Abhisandhayatu phalam is the phalam is me. That I am the focus. Okay, so yajna, before we saw it was a ritual, but now we are saying that in the 3rd chapter of Gita, the yajna is the very creation. So it is the level of my participation. Okay, so what is the basis of my participation in this yajna which is going on, where everything is interconnected and I am participating? What is the focus? Me. Okay, so that abhisandhayatu phalam can be taken differently, okay, by seeing that it is here. Yajna is converted into the very universe itself. The whole placement of different forces and your participation in it. Okay. So therefore, it becomes what we call right base, and there is nothing wrong, but it is rajasic. Rajasic because the focus is you, right? Ijyate and then dambhartham. How many I read, if you convert that yajna into your participation in the universe as such and not the ritual, right? Surya gave me a book. It is called Status Conscious, Dambhartham. Okay? How many of our actions are at times performed what? To gain recognition, okay, to be accepted by others. Okay, there is this whole thing about, what? I want to maintain a certain status in the society. Okay, that is something which is very, very common. Okay, it happens all the time, almost innocently. Okay, you go to a party, you go to a cocktail party. Okay, people start making talks, and they start asking you what school you went to, what job you have. Okay, all these different things. Are they innocent questions? No. Okay, what are they trying to do?
Place you.
Assess you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They are placing you in a given category. Then, what? They relate to you according to what?
Your place.
Your place.
Yes, yeah.
What they think is your place.
Yeah.
Not your real place.
Yes.
Right? So the whole society is sometimes, and then what happens? The other person is a little sensitive. Okay? They pick up.
Yeah.
So what happens? You want to be recognized by others, so you start playing by those rules.
Yeah.
It's that hard to avoid.
That's hard to avoid.
And exaggerate a little bit more.
And exactly, exaggerate a little bit more. This is what we call dambhaha. Okay? Dambhaha means the whole basis of my participation in the universe is what? To maintain a certain status, project myself in a certain way which I think will gain respect from others. It may not be totally in keeping with who I am. Okay? To show this thing, there was a very nice, I think Marissa, she sent me a very nice, I think that is a very nice video or
It was an article from Washington Post.
Article from Washington Post. Okay? It is a very nice article. There was a concert in New York, Carnegie Hall. Okay? And a very famous artist was playing. You know that. Yeah. A very famous artist was giving a concert. Okay? And the tickets were booked, all house full, because very well known. Okay? Now this artist, before the day of the show, he decides incognito, okay, to go to Times Square and starts playing whatever he was supposed to play, whether it was a flute
Violin.
or violin. Okay, so it was a violin concert, right? So he starts playing violin. Okay, then in this Times Square, nobody stops,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because everybody is so busy that nobody stops. Okay, maybe some of them have bought the very expensive tickets
Yeah.
to go and listen to him
To him.
the next day properly.
Properly.
Okay, so mantrahinam, okay, adakshinam. That means that the priest who are performing yajna for you, they have to be compensated. And how? Appropriately. Okay, this is something which is very, very important, because there is another thing that is very, very common, is that, people are always very common in India. People are always complaining about the priests. Okay, they are always saying how money-minded they are. Okay, how greedy they are. They only want to take money from you. Okay, but what is the reality?
That's their only source of income.
Exactly. The reality is that this is the only source of income they have. Okay, and they have to educate their children. They have to they support their family. Okay, so this is something. What is your duty?
Is to help them with that.
Is to give them appropriate money,
Training.
so that what. But if you have value for a certain tradition, what do you have to do?
Support it.
You have to support the tradition, not complain. Even why the priests have become greedy? You try to find out. We are only one-dimensional. It's true. Maybe that they need money. Maybe it is a fact that when they perform a yajna, they are only interested in money, or when you come to the temple, they just want to see how much they get. But if you really look at their income, how much is their income? Very little. How many years of studies they have done?
The only objection I have is, and which I don't know why the priest not in Varanasi, in the other place, Haridwar, didn't take it, that if they would make a list for certain functions, that we normally do, I think it would be very beneficial. People would, if they knew just how much they have to pay, they may be more encouraged. Like, Satyanarayan Puja. If you know what the price is going to be, then you might have it done on a regular basis. But if you can never tell what the priest is going to ask you, I think people start to hesitate. In fact, I think the priests are being shortchanged by not having certain things changed, structure changed for them. Because I would hate to see this great tradition lost. See, like, they told me at Varanasi I was given too much, and I explained to my son, darling, this is their income. They are the ones who've kept our religion alive under very difficult circumstances. I said, whatever I give is too little.
That's a beautiful way of looking at it, right? And the thing is, exactly. So, what is the system of the priest and all is not what the topic of discussion. It's when I make use of somebody's services, right? I have to compensate them appropriately.
Yes.
Okay, that is my duty. Okay, if you want people to do things for you and you don't compensate them properly, that is what tamasic. Okay, so a yajna performed, mantrahinam. Okay, not distributing food. Okay, then dakshina, not giving appropriate dakshina to people who are doing it for you. Shraddha virahitam. Okay, you don't see the purpose of it. Okay, you are just doing it for the sake of doing it, and you don't try to even find out the value for it. You have a certain conclusion, and you think that your conclusion is right, and you act on it, okay, thinking that this is how an intelligent person behaves. Okay, This is something which is tamasic. Okay? Shraddha virahitam yajnam tamasam parichakshate. Okay? Now, let's convert this yajna from a ritual to your life yajna. Right? Now, let's look at it again. Okay? Vidhihinam asrushta annam. Vidhihinam means my participation is based on what? No rules at all. Personal gratification is my thing. No duties, okay? No awareness of anything. My raga and my dvesha, that means dictates how I participate in this universe. My likes, I go. My dislikes, I avoid. There is no other rule. Okay? Now we are looking at yajna as what? The universe, there is constantly a yajna going on and my participation in it. Okay? Vidhihinam, then asrushtannam. Okay? That means that what? I receive, but what? I don't give enough. There is not distribution to other people. There is no sharing. As Alka says, everything that you not only thank people for giving you, but what you have to learn to share with others. Okay? So, asrashtanam, that means highly, what we say, that if you don't have and if you don't give, it's okay. Because you don't have. Right? But if you have, and if you don't give, then what?
Then you're
Because your whole thing is what? Hoarding rather than take. Yeah, take. Okay? That is what we saw, from being a consumer to be a contributor. So that means your whole focus is you and maximizing your consumption, but not giving anything back. Okay? So that is what? Tamasic. Okay? Then mantrahinam. Mantrahinam, we can take it as, not. Mantrahinam is what? That you have to learn. Okay? Whatever skills, whatever that you are doing. Okay? In case the priest who is performing that mantra, his whole job is to learn those mantras properly and to chant them properly. Okay? Here is whatever you are doing, whichever work you are doing, you are a doctor, you are an engineer, okay? Whichever action that you are doing, imagine you don't do it properly. Okay? That means that it is almost as mantrahina, because a priest is supposed to learn the mantras and chant them properly. You, in this yajna, whichever activity or whatever your duty is, whatever role that you are taking, okay, whatever your skills are, whatever your profession is, okay, you can't afford to be lax. At least you have to give it the best. Your own effort. After that, you don't know, right? Nobody can be perfect. We are not talking about perfection or anything and being obsessed with things. We are talking about being alert and making the best possible effort. Okay? That is my participation in the universe. And said, oh, everybody else is like that. How does everybody become the basis on which your participation? No. What becomes the basis of your participation? Do you take the lowest denominator and you are going to go down to that level to decide your participation? You have to make your participation based on your understanding of things and your effort. Okay? So this is what we say, mantrahinam adakshinam. Adakshinam means if you are the employer and you don't pay everybody else who is contributing to your being who you are appropriately, it becomes adakshinam. So that means you, again, what is very interesting is, sometimes it amazes me that what she's saying is absolutely right. That even in terms of maids, in Bombay, everybody has maids. And some of these people are extremely rich. Okay? Now, if these people are working like 7 times a day, 7 times a week, right?
Yes.
Without any break. Okay? And they are made to work sometimes very hard, right? It's not an easy job to wash everybody's clothes and if you look at the compensation they get, it is really sometimes
It's human slavery.
yeah. Okay, and they are not. If the people could not afford, then it's one thing. Okay, but the rich people, when they can spend 10,000 rupees for one dinner, and then they can't pay 200 rupees more. Okay, for somebody who's working for them so much.
Yeah.
That is what we call adakshina.
Okay.
Your people are working for you, you're extracting from them, okay, but you are not compensating them enough. Okay, in a yajna, a priest is performing these things. He has to keep so much in mind, and you say, yeah, but what has he done? He has just sat and chanted some mantra. Why should I give him this dakshina?
But they are actually amazing because they remember everything. It's like, wow.
The years they spend.
Really
effort they
amazing.
make.
Yeah. Okay. But here, when you convert this into yajna, adakshina means you take services of people
And not compensate.
and not compensate them appropriately. Okay. So that is adakshinam, that he says shraddha virahitam. Okay. That shraddha, that without any conviction, your participation is no goal, no noble, any kind of vision, nothing. Okay, no integrity, just convenience based. Okay, so that participation is what? Tamasam parichakshate. Okay. Then that is now talking about yajna. So we saw yajna, one interpretation is